the one and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach, Mace, RK, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
Welcome in to the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by MSU Denver Online. Check them out, msudenver.edu/online to scope out all they have to offer. 75 different online and hybrid programs, 450 total classes. There's something for everyone at MSU Denver Online. And if you are trying to work while getting your education, there's no better place, as MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. So again, check them out at msudenver.edu/online today.
My boys, what's shaking, guys? And yesterday, the city of Denver, the state of Colorado, got a new MVP.
What a deserving honor for Nikola Jokic. And, we could sit here and talk about him all day. But, as I was seeing some of the stuff that he had to say, he was asked where, this MVP season ends up ranking him in the lore of the great Colorado athletes. And I don't think you can blame a 25-year-old for not necessarily having the full context. He's like, oh, McKinnon's pretty good, right? Yeah, he's dope. But it got me thinking, how does that season rank up against some of the other NBA or some of the other MVP seasons that we've seen from the Broncos? And
especially because, Ryan, you can't stack it up against other Nuggets MVPs because he's the only one.
Not
He's
in the
he's
NBA.
at top of that list.
Was it Spencer Haywood got it back in 1970 in the ABA, and that was it?
The Rockets, right?
Yeah, when they were still the Denver
Not even
Rockets.
the Nuggets.
My friend Ted posted all of the Denver MVPs in chronological order. So 1970 in the ABA, it was Spencer Haywood. 87, Elway. 97, Larry Walker. 98, Terrell Davis. 2001, Joe Sakic. 2003, Peter Forsberg. 2013, Peyton Manning. And, of course, 2021, Nikola Jokic.
So you know what? If the Broncos trade for Aaron Rodgers, they'll have two reigning MVPs in the same market.
How about that?
That would be beautiful. And McKinnon is due for one at any moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
he absolutely is. Who on the Rockies is due for one?
The guy
Dinger.
they traded.
Dinger, yes, exactly.
But that gives you one for all four major sports. The Nuggets were the last one that they needed to get off the board. And
it makes the Broncos the leader.
yes, of course. So let's just go chronologically here. And we just kind of contextualize how dominant these seasons were because, well, I want to see what you say. Let's start with 1987 Mason John Elway. And I know you have a take, so let's hear it.
Yeah, John Elway shouldn't have been the MVP in 1987.
How dare you?
I know that's blasphemy to say around here, but first of all, I don't even think he should have been second.
So really quick, what you're saying is John Elway should have 0 MVPs because he only has one. That's his only one, and you want to take it away from him.
I would say there was a very good case for him to be MVP in 1993.
But he wasn't.
The first season under the late Jim Fossil, who passed away a couple of days ago, offensive coordinator, that unlocked Elway. But
Unlocked.
here's the problem, like with Elway, and yes, he was hindered by the offense, but you're talking about a quarterback who that year was 11th in passer rating, 83.4, which even then, it's above average, but not great. But the MVP that year should not have been a quarterback. There were two candidates. It was the strike year, replacement players, so the regular players only played 12 games. In 12 games that year, Reggie White had 22 sacks.
So that's it. That's like
That's an
over
all-time. He had the all-time season on a per-game basis
Yeah.
when it comes to rushing the
I was going to
passer.
say that's over 30 sacks in like a 16, 17 game season.
Just a holy terror out there. And then in that same 12-game sample size for players on the regular roster, not the replacement players, Jerry Rice had 22 touchdowns.
Woo! Also pretty
Yeah.
darn good. Well,
And he was never the MVP.
What would you rather have, pass rusher with 22 sacks or a wide receiver with 22 touchdowns?
Sacks. Yep.
The Niners
Easy for
went
me.
13-2, and the Eagles went 7-8. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
I don't think it was because of those two guys, though.
No.
I think there were some other circumstances.
And Joe
well,
Joe
you-
Montana was throwing the passes to Jerry Rice too.
So would you rather have the best pass rusher in NFL history, potentially, or the best wide receiver in NFL history? Let me ask it that way. You do pass rusher
you
in a
take
heartbeat,
pass
right?
rusher, yeah. It's the second most valuable position on the field.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's my hot take. John
All right.
Elway. Yeah, John Elway was the MVP, and it was good for his career that he got one. Certainly, he should have been MVP at some point, but it should have been 1993. Not 1987.
Mace, as you said, that's a hot take in this market because you're, saying to rip John Elway's MVP away from him. But if you look at it, it's really not that hot when you put it like that. Those two other seasons that those guys had, if they were quarterbacks and had equivalent seasons to that, they would have blown John Elway out of the water. It's what a quarterback gets, and in that season, like you said, only 12 games. 3,200 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 54% completion. Now, that just shows you how different of an era it is, because if, let's say, Drew Lock wins the job and puts up those numbers this year, he may be on the hot seat, not in the lead for the NFL MVP.
Not even maybe.
He would be.
Done.
I mean,
Isn't that just wild?
yeah,
really
55% on completions. That was average back then.
Right.
That was fine, and he could make up for it because he went vertical. So no one was concerned about that in those days. And the fascinating thing on Elway, and I've thought a lot about him in the last 24 hours because of Jim Fossil's death, is that everybody knew he was a great quarterback, even outside of Denver. I mean, being in Tampa, John Elway, you knew was one of those guys, and yet you looked at the production. Because I was a nerd playing fantasy football then. I'm like, until '93,
They had fantasy football then?
they did. They did. It was embryonic, but it was there for those of us who were football nerds back then. But Elway, from a production perspective, didn't match up to the rest of the elite quarterbacks until 1993, and then he. I mean, for me, it's almost like the John Elway that I remember. Even though he had the comebacks before, the John Elway that I remember being legit one of the league's most productive quarterbacks, that started in '93. His last 6 years were awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think, again, bringing it back to Jokic and contextualizing it against it, you would say that Jokic's season was better than Elway's.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
a lot
certainly
better.
would. Yeah, you
A lot
certainly
better.
would. And both good teams. They both led their teams. The Broncos in '87 were 8-3-1 in those 12 games that he started. And of course, Jokic third seed in the NBA in the West.
Yep. All right, let's move on to 1998 now.
Wait, really quick. Both shortened seasons. Kind of interesting there.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
The shortened season city here.
Seriously, but not in '98.
Not in 98, and this one was just one of the most dominant seasons you've ever seen from a running back.
It absolutely was. You had Terrell Davis come out, rush for 2,008 yards, top that magical number of 2,000. 21 touchdowns. Both of those guys, by the way, led the NFL that year. He averaged 125 yards per game. You do that once in a season, it's like, wow, that's a heck of a game.
Great
You do that
game,
every single 16 games back to back to back. Incredible. That also led the league. And 5.1 yards per carry throughout an entire season. That led the league.
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly as good as it gets.
Yep.
From a running back in the NFL, and in that era as well, where people didn't decide that running the ball was dumb yet. So you were giving the rock to your running back over and over and over again. And that was viewed as the path to success. And it's why, honestly, you don't see big numbers from quarterbacks back then, and why completing 55% of your passes was acceptable, because the goal was really, okay, can you run the ball 4 yards a pop, or even, 3.5, and convert third downs. And in this season, in which the Broncos just ran through, quite literally, the NFL, this was just pure magic from TD.
Yeah, that TD season 98 was right at the heart of an era from 91 through 06, 16 years where you saw 7 running backs win the MVP.
Yep.
It started with
Golden era.
Started with Thurman Thomas, ended, I believe, with LaDainian Tomlinson when he broke the touchdown record back in 06. And let's not remember that Charger game in San Diego when Tomlinson broke the record and everyone went wild. Since then, only one running back has won MVP. And it took a 2,000-yard season to do that. That was Adrian Peterson in 2012. So you used to see guys not reach 2,000 and get the MVP. In the last 14 years, 2,000 was basically the starting point, and not even a guarantee of being the MVP if you're a running back. So 13 of the last 14 MVPs are quarterbacks. So you wonder what it's going to take, what type of season it will take, especially going to 17 games, for another running back to win MVP. Terrell Davis, clearly the best choice for MVP in 1998, no question. But it gets you thinking, okay, what if Javonte Williams exploded? What would it take for him to be the MVP?
Over 2,000 yards. I mean, we'd have to be talking about what we talked about with Terrell Davis. He led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. He led the NFL in yards per game. He led the NFL in topping 2,000 yards, and he led the NFL in yards per carry. We'd have to be talking about all of those things for a running back to be considered. Look, not even a 2,000-yard season gets it for you. Derrick Henry did that last year and didn't get the MVP.
It wasn't even really like a conversation.
No, it wasn't. It was always Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And
Russ
before
had a
Aaron
little run.
Russ, there was even some buzz. Oh, Derek Carr's playing really well. He's in the conversation. That lasted about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
here's the conversation. Should Derek Carr be MVP? Nope. All right. End of conversation.
But we never talked about Derrick Henry, even though he was running over people, doing his usual Derrick Henry thing in November and December, where he just punches one gas defense after another.
Yep.
And really quick, that one MVP that wasn't a quarterback in the past 14 years should have been a quarterback. Should have been Peyton. Should have been Peyton that year.
I had a bet with a buddy on that. It's what we go back to about the whole was it a risk that the Broncos signed Peyton Manning, and when the Broncos signed Peyton Manning, I was like, this isn't a risk. He's gonna win MVP this year, I bet. And my buddy was like, no way, I'll bet you $100.
Oh, no, so close. Yeah. The NFL stole $100 from you. That season, I was studying abroad in Prague, and my roommate, and we lived in the exact same room, beds next to each other. He was a huge Vikings fan.
Oh,
and
wow.
so that just crushed me when he was given the MVP.
Damn. But the TD discussion also brings up another discussion, which is, what's more impressive? 6th round pick winning MVP in the NFL, or 2nd round pick winning MVP in the NBA?
I think it's the 2nd round pick in the NBA.
I think so as well.
One's only been done once.
Right. One's been however many times Brady's done it.
Right, exactly.
Brady, we've seen undrafted guys like Kurt Warner got it twice in a 3-year span.
Wow.
You mentioned Brady. Now, all the other recent guys, going through time, like Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. I'm going through the list of
first round picks.
Yeah, I'm going through the list of non-Tom Brady MVPs over the last about 17 years or so.
And
They're
Peyton
all
Manning,
round
take
one
him out,
picks,
too.
except
Yeah.
What?
Nothing.
What did you say?
I just said Peyton has 5 in there as well.
Right, exactly. Other than Tom Brady, you have to go back to Rich Gannon in 2002. Boy, Rich Gannon, MVP.
How about that?
2002 was a weird year. A really weird year in football. The Raiders got the AFC number 1 seed with an 11-5 record.
Wow.
The Bucks won it. The Bucks won the Super Bowl mostly on defense. And Rich Gannon won the MVP. And the thing is, he deserved it. He had a great game when the Raiders came here on Monday Night Football and just basically gave the Broncos
that.
death by paper cuts.
Yep.
That was also the infamous game where Romo slammed Sharp's elbow into the turf and hurt him, knocked him out for a month.
Yep.
But yeah, but the fact that we can sit here in the last 20, 25 years and we can point Tom Brady, we can point Rich Gannon, we can point Kurt Warner, we can point to Terrell Davis, and yet it's never happened in the NBA with a second round pick. I mean, easily the more unlikely thing is the second rounder in the NBA.
Yeah, and it also shows you like Nikola Jokic might be the Tom Brady of the NBA.
Ooh,
Wouldn't that be something?
is he going to have 6 rings
6 is a lot. I'll take 1.
or 7? Or how many does Brady have now? I've lost track.
God, who knows? Is it
He's
7?
got 7. Yeah, he had
7.
6 in New England.
Yep.
Well, he's only got 1 that matters.
Well, maybe he'll have 2 in a year from now, Mace.
Thank God for Archie Manning.
Is he going to be the one that knocks him off?
What?
Arch Manning?
Arch.
Oh, Arch
Yeah.
Manning. Well, I don't think that if Tom Brady's still playing when Arch Manning gets in the league, like they need to do like a full scale body investigation to make sure he's actually a real human.
It's, what would it be called? Machine Gate or something?
Yeah, like Robot Gate,
TB12 Gate?
He'd be at least 49.
That would
when
be
that happened.
insane.
You see this stuff in like NFL films, things about like the 1950s. Like, he was 48, like getting out there on the field. Like, that's not supposed to happen in 2020.
Yeah, George Blanda was still kicking.
2021.
Yeah, George Blanda was still kicking right at like 48, 49 years old, but he was kicking. He wasn't a quarterback anymore.
Yeah. There's like some hockey players who did it to like absurdly old ages.
Gordie Howe, I think, went into his 50s. And he played with his sons in Hartford.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
yeah.
52.
Retired at 52.
He was a Hartford Whaler, and he's playing alongside Mark Howe.
Wow.
I have to go see like
Awesome.
if there if I have to go see if there was like a respect where people just weren't hitting him.
Right.
Because like I
The
just don't
old
know how
man.
your body can hold up.
That's that would be good to revisit that, because Gordy in his prime, he was a physical guy. He could score, obviously, but he was a physical guy who could beat you up. He got some shots in on people when he was young and spry. So did they give him that respect, even though as a younger player he was making life miserable for a lot of people on the ice?
Yeah, and also like I remember Lemieux in his late seasons, there was kind of like no one was trying to tee off on him. Same thing with Yager.
Yeah.
I think there is like a little bit of like you get a greatness pass.
What do you think? Do you think pass rushers would give Tom that pass?
No.
What do you think the odds would...
Well, I will say like Vaughn will tell you he's not trying to hurt the quarterback when he hits them.
Sure, but that's probably the same to 23-year-old Joe Burrow as it is for 44-year-old Tom Brady, right?
sure.
The kind of the same mindset for Vaughn.
Like that Doomerville hit on Brady. Do you think we're seeing anything like that anytime soon? If you have the chance,
Yeah, you've got the open shot. I know Broncos Country had won it. Guys, what would you put the odds at Tom Brady playing to 50? What odds do you think DraftKings Sportsbook would offer right now?
it's got to be like plus 50,000.
Do you take it? 50 would make sense. 50,000 for 50?
No, I would not take it.
I'd probably throw a little bit on it.
If he plays to so I'll say this: if he plays to 50, someone like Aaron Rodgers is going to try to push to 45.
Oh, certainly.
Like
Someone.
I don't
what
think
about
Aaron
Patrick
Rodgers
Mahomes?
will retire before Tom Brady. Put it that way. If Tom keeps going, I think Rodgers keeps going.
What's crazy is like Tom is clearly still where would you put him? I mean, he's certainly in the top 15 in just terms of like talent.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like as long
top
as you
5.
stay there, there's no reason to retire.
Right.
It's like a conversation I was having the other day about football. I'm like, the whole game is reliant on one position, and there's only maybe 15 people in the world who can do it at the level you need to succeed.
Yep.
It's a crazy thing. Like we're talking about the most popular sport in America. Every kid, not every kid. How many kids grow up wishing they could be an NFL quarterback?
All of them.
Right. The combination of natural ability, work ethic, and just good breaks that you need to be able to get up there is crazy. But like, again, we're like strip mining the entire country looking for quarterbacks, and we still can't find more than 15 at a time. Really, and 15 is on the high end.
And there's a lot of incentive to be a quarterback too. It's not like people don't want it.
Although we're finding obviously standards have changed, but maybe it's because of things like the camps that we see. There's a Manning Passing Academy. Of course, we see these high school camps. We saw the one where Arch Manning had that great throw this past weekend.
I didn't see it.
Oh, he dropped an absolute.
You're going to be seeing more and more of those the next 5 years.
It was a thing of beauty.
We haven't heard anything. Like, I haven't heard anything about Arch. Like, even like Tiger Woods' son, we've heard like, oh, he loves the game and he's like studying. Like, I hope Arch Manning isn't just doing this because he knows he's supposed to.
It's his calling. It's his calling. I bet on DraftKings you can get pretty good odds of him being the first overall pick.
Speaking of
whatever
DraftKings,
year he is. Yes.
We of course have plenty more to get to in this MVP conversation, and maybe the best season of all is yet to come. But first, we got to get our DraftKings picks of the weekend. So, Zach, why don't you get us started?
I'm going to go with two different ones. Got to get both Nuggets and Avs. Nuggets and Phoenix right now. The over-under for games played is set at 5.5. I'm taking the over. Now, it's not the best odds, minus 130, but not bad. I think the Nuggets are going to win at least 2 games. And obviously, I think Phoenix wins at least 1 more. So that means it's going to be at least a 6-game series. I think that absolutely happens. I think this series is at least 4-2, if not goes to 7. So I like that. And then, guys, 1 week ago, when the Avs were up 2-0 in the series against Vegas, do you know what their odds were to win the entire thing?
It was. I think they were as low as plus 125 at one point.
That's exactly what I saw. Obviously, a lot has changed, but that's how the country viewed the Avs 1 week ago. So I'm going to throw a little bit on this one. You don't put the whole bank account on this one, but Avs at plus 450. Essentially, I think whoever wins this series
is a bet on the Avs to come back.
Exactly. And I think whoever wins this series is going to win the whole thing. So it's a bet on the Avs to win 2 straight games right here, and then you get great odds at plus 450.
Man, the Avs are so tough to read right now because last night they really should have won that game. They really
were the better team for the majority of the game.
That was one of the ones where you just sit there with your head in your hands for a while after it because, like, they were the better team for 55 of the 60 minutes in the game, and they made 3 mistakes. 3 really bad mistakes that cost them the game.
They played the game that they needed to play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I can't put this in any way on Jared Bednar because they adjusted. They played dumping chase. They were more physical.
And they were chasing and they were hitting.
They did what they needed to do.
They were dumping.
No, but that's well. Then they dumped in the
They
end.
dumped.
Kind of.
Brian Graves took a big old dump.
But for like you said, for 55 minutes, they did what they needed to do. They followed the script to a T, and actually I was in the middle of something, so I turned on overtime late, and it was already over.
Yeah,
because it was like 50 seconds. Like I turned on, it's like they already scored. It was 50 seconds.
And
what the hell happened?
And the Avs had an incredible chance 15 seconds before that.
Yep.
Perfect, juicy rebound right to Confer's stick. The whole right side of the net is wide open, and he put it right in his chest. It's a tough play with the way that rebound came out. But Graves with the bat, I mean, if you watch the Avs, he does this on a nightly basis, which makes it so much more frustrating. I'm just like, I would have thought in overtime, your head's on a little tight. You've got your stuff together a little more, but to do that twice in a row, what's crazy is he gets the lucky bounce right back to him, and that opened up the ice because everyone had condensed when he shot the first one, and you've got Cale Makar who pinches down, which is another reason why they get a breakaway. He's wide open on the left wing, and then Nathan McKinnon is coming off on a change, like full bore. All he has to do is just slide it across the blue line, and McKinnon's going to get the puck with a head of steam going towards the net, and it's just like, I could scream. Anyways, my DraftKings pick of the week is Nikola Jokic to go over 29.5 points tonight. Look, he gets the MVP award last night. The whole country's talking about him.
Yep.
The whole country is also talking about how DeAndre Ayton played him 1-for-1 in the first game.
Yep.
And he, unfortunately, I don't want to scapegoat him, but he's a big reason why they lost game 1 because he just lost the touch in the second half. It's not his fault. He wasn't doing anything wrong necessarily. He took a couple bad shots, but just wasn't going down for him anymore in the second half. I think there's a lot of factors playing into this game where Jokic is saying, this is my game. And at 29.5, that's actually pretty darn low for him. I think that he flirts with 40 tonight, if not gets it.
I love it. I absolutely and for all of those things you mentioned, I really like the over.
Do you guys believe in the notion of betting against your team in order to kind of, get some karma on your side?
No,
yes.
I don't believe in juju. I don't believe in karma, and I just love poking the belly of people that do.
I'm the guy who bet my entire account on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl because I thought it would help them lose.
Yeah. So would you bet
Worked.
with the Vegas Golden Knights? Right now, Vegas is the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. By the way,
Yeah, that
37
flipped
to
in just
20
a week.
odds right now.
Yep.
Tampa Bay is 2-1, and then you go down to the Avs at 9-2. So, do you do that if you want to kind of change the juju a little bit? I'm just saying.
Well,
That's not my pick of the week. I'm just asking you guys.
Well, I think it's going to be either the Avs or Vegas.
I don't know. Tampa Bay.
Tampa
It's
Bay
really
has
good.
Tampa Bay has the size and physicality on the blue line to stand up to Vegas. But
They
that
have
being,
it all,
but
and they
that
have the
being
top line
yeah,
talent to play with the Avs if the Avs get there.
right. But that being said, whether it's the Islanders or the Boston, I'm not. I'm as a Lightning fan, I'm focused on that step. I'm not even thinking about the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right, so what do you got for us? Pick of the week.
Here's what I'm going back to the well that worked so well for me last year, and looking at the Braves and their opposing pictures in terms of the over/under on strikeouts, because the Braves are a free swinging team and they're going to strike out quite a bit. They're going against the Phillies tonight. Zac Eflin on the hill for the Phillies.
Zac Efron?
Oh,
Eflin.
reminds me of
Oh,
myself.
I was going to say,
A lot of
that's
people say I
must
look
see
like
TV.
him.
And right now you're looking at an over/under on strikeouts for him at 5.5. I'm going to take the over.
Love it. I mean, that's back to your bread and butter.
You got to, I've tried other things. I got to go back to what works. And also, that is the fact that I always bet on the Braves opposing picture and take the over on strikeouts. That's another thing kind of on the karma thing is of betting against my team.
Fair enough.
I don't bet on my team, but I'll bet against my team.
And you can do that over at DraftKings
Yes.
Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. And guys, to celebrate playoffs, they're putting you courtside for a chance to win $100 in site credits. All you have to do is bet $1 on a basketball team to win, and if they win, you win $100 in site credits. 100-1 odds. You can't say no to that. I mean, worst case, you lose $1. Best case, you get to play with $100 in your account. That sounds like a winner to me. So make sure to check them out over at DraftKings Sportsbook. They're the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app. And use the promo code DNVR when you sign up to get that $1 to 100 odds and free credits. And bet on any basketball team of your choice to win the next game. And if they do, you get that $100 in site credits. So download that app now and use the promo code DNVR for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Also want to remind you to check out Breckenridge Brewery this weekend or just today, depending on how you're feeling. I mean, we've got a playoff game tonight. There's should be nothing stopping you. The lemonade seltzers also discovered this weekend. It's not just the lemonade seltzers that are amazing on ice. All of them.
Yep.
Any of the good companies, throw them on ice. You will thank me later. We got our buddy, the Hamburglar, who tweeted at me this weekend. He's like, I'm having my first lemonade seltzy. And I said, make sure you put it on ice. Well, he had already had one before he had put it on ice. And then he put it on ice. He was like, oh, my God, you're a genius. This is taking the nation by storm almost in the way that the RK special did.
Wow.
It might need its own name.
Wow.
Just seltzer on ice might just be the new RK special.
That's what it's called, seltzer on ice? You're very creative there.
I mean, it's like Disney on ice.
All right. Just for adults.
Yeah.
So what are you have these giant costumed cans of seltzer skating around here?
I
We're
mean,
doing Disney on ice.
And then you
seltzer on
drink
ice?
them.
you know, there's some things you
them
can get in Colorado that would make that probably pretty enjoyable. But anyways, check out Breckenridge Brewery this weekend, whether you're drinking some seltzers, some lemonade seltzers. Strawberry Sky season is very much upon us. So check out Breck Brew. And also want to let you know to become a DNVR member. There's so much going on right now, and Broncos coverage is just starting to ramp up. So whether you're a fan of all the teams, just Broncos, whatever it is, there's never a bad time to become a member. You'll get your member beers down here. You'll get a free t-shirt. There's so much you can get with a DNVR membership. So we'd love if you did that. We'd also love if you hit us with a like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, sign up for the alerts. There's all sorts of good stuff. You can support us in many different ways. And one of those ways is supporting our partners like Breckenridge Brewery or DraftKings, so on and so forth. All right. Let's get back to this MVP discussion because we've got a fun one. It's the most recent one before Yoke got it last night. And it, of course, is the dominant 2013 Peyton Manning season. Zach, what's the word that comes to your mind when you think of that season?
Just record-breaking and not touchable in a 16-game season. No one's ever going to touch it in 16 games.
Yardage record, touchdown record. Historic is the word that you think about. I mean, Peyton only played 4 years here, and yet his signature season, his all-time season, was one of those 4 that he had here. Just absolutely unstoppable. Starting the season by throwing 7 touchdown passes against Baltimore, and then just building from there. What could he do to top what he did that opening night? Well, he just went on and just kept accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. The last game in the Super Bowl, that didn't happen. Never happened. Not going to think about that.
Don't even know what you're talking about.
With all respect to Nikola Jokic, who had a great season, with Peyton Manning, this is legitimately in the conversation of the greatest seasons of all time, not just in football, but any professional sport.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like the TD season was incredibly dominant. Like I said, as good as it gets from a running back. But the running back can only do so much. And this Peyton Manning season is the best MVP season in at least this discussion that we're having right now, but I believe in Denver history as well. I've never seen anything like it. I've never watched, like, you know, you talk about the Sakic or the Forsberg season, and it's like the comparison would have been if you expected them to score a goal every time they set foot on the ice for a shift. Because every single time Peyton Manning got the ball, you expected there to be a touchdown, and when they punted, it was like something has gone terribly wrong.
Right.
Like, it was so easy, and it's funny because we look at, you know, Mahomes and what they're doing now, and it almost seems unfair because he's got Tyreek Hill and he's got Travis Kelce, he's got Sammy Watkins, and you know they've just got so many different weapons. I mean, the Broncos had it maybe even better. Yeah, and of course Peyton Manning at the helm made it even greater because he could get them into the right play at any time in the game. It's a season that no one who saw it will ever forget. It's a real shame that it didn't get the storybook ending it deserved, especially because it was a stupid cold weather Super Bowl.
It's 49 degrees. It wasn't that cold. It wasn't that windy.
It was
they got so lucky with the weather. If they played it the next day, it would have been in a blizzard.
It's true.
Maybe they should have played it in a blizzard then. Odds may have been better. Probably wouldn't have been worse.
I still think they would have been better off in a dome.
I think that if they had played in a blizzard, they would have done that. They would have done a lot better because it would have neutralized the Seahawks' defensive speed.
Hard to do worse, yeah.
I mean, yeah, and you know, it's a classic 10% game, whereas like Broncos had a 10% the lowest 10% game, and the Seahawks had the highest 10% game, and that's what happens. Anyway,
garbage.
Let's not forget. Let's not remember that.
The MVP is a regular season award, and that season was, like you said, unbreakable.
And you know what makes it even more special is the further away we get from it, just the more incredible it becomes, not because we romanticize it, but because this is the golden era of quarterback play. This is the golden era of stats, and Peyton was really the one to kind of break that. Now, not just in that season, but before. And we've seen quarterbacks, Tom Brady, who was still putting up crazy numbers back in 2015 in those years, and then Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. You get all these other super talented guys. They haven't broke it. Yeah. They've had incredible seasons. Maybe Patrick Mahomes has had his best season that he's ever going to have, and he would still obviously be a Hall of Famer without doing anything more than he's done. Didn't beat it. Didn't beat it. And it's not a shoo-in that the 55 touchdowns is going to be beat in a 17-game season. Probably will happen, but it's not a guarantee. It's not like it's going to happen this year.
Now, Lamar Jackson,
could, though.
Could.
Yeah, it could. But Lamar Jackson's kind of another category onto himself because that 2019 season, when he rushed for 1,200 yards, he averaged 6.9 a carry. He passed for 36 touchdowns, completed 66% of his passes. So you look at like the touchdown total combined, 36 touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. That's good. That's okay. But the fact that you passed for north of 3,000 yards, you had 36 touchdowns, and then you throw the 1,200 rushing yards on top of that. Now, the question is, do we see any seasons like that where you see a quarterback lead the league in touchdown passes and then add on another 11 or 1,200 rushing yards? We may start calling that the Lamar Jackson if anybody does that, since Lamar was the first to do it. And that's why, like, for a single season, is that the greatest quarterback season? No. But Lamar, what he did by different standards, obviously, but he's legitimately in the conversation. And I think we're going to see some quarterbacks approach that type of season here as the style of quarterback play continues to evolve.
That's really interesting. I actually don't think we'll ever see another season like Lamar Jackson's.
Really? Yeah.
I don't think. Maybe years from now when there's a whole new generation of NFL coaches, although it feels like they never change. I don't think anyone wants to run their quarterback that much. And Lamar has this like gumbiness about him where he doesn't really get hurt on those hits because it's so hard to square him up.
Yeah. They don't want to do it late in their career, but we could see it early in their career. Because some quarterbacks...
1,200 yards?
Yeah, but some quarterbacks, you're relying on the run while you teach them how to be pocket quarterbacks.
That's fair.
Like, if the Broncos are in the quarterback market in the draft next year, a guy that we're probably going to be talking about among the possibilities is Malik Willis out of Liberty. And Willis last year ran for nearly 1,000 yards, averaged 6.7 yards a carry, and then also had 20 touchdowns and threw for over 2,200 yards. So that's a type of guy, but he would have to do it early. You're doing, because early in your career, you're saying, all right, lean on your legs right now, but you're going to have to learn how to be a pocket passer. Lamar Jackson, he's learning how to win games from the pocket, and because what he does now, what he did in 2019, that's not sustainable. That's why if it happened again, it would happen for a quarterback in his first 4 years, probably.
I could see that.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, guys, maybe some news coming out today from Aqib Talib on his podcast, Catch and Fades. He had Kareem Jackson on, and let's just listen to this conversation. Oh, no. Well, here's a little tease about it. Here's the teaser. Deshaun Watson says he wants to be a Denver Bronco, according to Kareem Jackson.
Wow.
Oh, my.
I think Deshaun Watson would take any opportunity to play football right now.
I'm sure he would. Yeah. And, whether that's a Denver Bronco in 2021 or 2022 maybe, if this is something he wants, it's interesting just with how it plays out. And if he's still pursuing the Broncos, because we know that he was interested a couple months ago.
Wow. What an interesting thing to come out right now. Like,
isn't it?
What do we do with that?
Yeah.
I don't really know if there's anything we can do with it, but it is interesting. If somehow he ends up getting cleared and all that, and he gets this figured out, and you feel comfortable with it, like you obviously want Deshaun Watson the quarterback.
It's a lot of ifs.
There's
no question. Like you said, the Deshaun Watson the quarterback. If he didn't have everything hanging over him right now, all the lawsuits, all the allegations, absolutely, you'd say go get him. Personally, I think that you have to wait. You have to wait. This isn't decades ago. This isn't even 2010 when Ben Roethlisberger could serve a suspension for his off-field issues and then come back. We're in the heart of Me Too right now. At this moment in time, I don't think you can take Deshaun Watson on until everything is cleared up.
Let's hear the clip from Aqib's podcast, though.
I honestly think y'all gonna have Deshaun soon. Yeah, I got a great relationship with Deshaun. I've been talking to him the last couple of weeks, man, and like all he's been telling me is like, look, Jack, just tell him like that's where I want to be. Like that's where I want to be. I'm like, man,
he see the setup, the line straight. He see the setup.
He like, man, listen, that's why I want to be in Denver. He's like, and like during the time while I was going through, my little free agency thing, and I end up signing back here. Before I signed, he called. He was like, "Man, are you gonna sign?" I was like, "I don't know. I ain't sure yet." He was like, "Well, let me know what you gonna do, whatever." And I signed back. He's like, "Listen, man, tell him that I want to be in Denver." So I'm like, "Hey, man."
Hey, y'all hear it, man? You know what Sean would be. Y'all hear it? Y'all hear it? We catching phase, baby.
God, I love Aqib so much.
I hope they have him calling one of the Broncos games this year.
Oh my goodness.
We deserve it.
We do deserve it. Oh, I miss him. He's just the best.
He's so fun.
We need to get
one of the most naturally funny people I've ever met.
Let's get Aqib on Three Ring Circus.
Oh my goodness, that'll be a blast. We have to.
We have to try.
And speaking of Three Rings, guys, special edition live tomorrow, and this is going to be an absolute hoot. It's locked in, guys. Our friend Shelby Harris will be joining us tomorrow on Three Rings along with Brandon Cristal. Guys, this is going to be off the chains.
It's going to be really, really fun. It's going to be really, really fun. So keep an eye out for that. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
12:30 to 1.
All right, sweet. Carve out some time in your schedule to watch us live tomorrow with Shelby Harris in studio. So that's going to be one hell of a time. All right. Quickly circle back to this Deshaun Watson thing for a second before we get out of here. Why do you think he's saying that? Because I have an answer.
Why he's saying Denver?
Why is he saying that to Kareem?
I don't know. You tell me.
Because he knows Denver is very, very desperate for a quarterback. And he's thinking, okay, if there's any team that is ready to throw caution to the wind because they are desperate at the position, it's Denver.
That's fair. I mean, based on the early returns that we've seen, how Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, they're incomplete pieces at quarterback. They're both missing something. And it's even more evident, I think, just from the practices that we've seen. You can see that desperation maybe ramping up a notch after the last couple of weeks.
And even then, I don't think they're that desperate.
No. Because, guys, there's a chance that if you trade for Deshaun Watson, well, first, if you trade for Deshaun Watson when all this is open, this is a terrible look for your organization, as it should be, because this is under investigation. There should be no conversation with the Texans now. And from everything I'm told, there is no conversation, and there won't be conversation. But then even once this settles, if it does settle, it's still not just one accuser that was against him. There were over 20 women accusing him. Now, if it gets settled, some people will say, okay, look, it's settled, then we can move past it and move on, go get an incredible quarterback. But there's also going to be some people in the community, probably in the organization, in every organization in the NFL that say, no, 20 against 1, I can't be about that at all, even if he did settle and stuff.
I could see that, and I could see even if everything is settled that they say, all right, it's well and good, but let's let someone else deal with this. Let it be somebody else's problem.
Yep. But
and also you wonder the other reason why Deshaun Watson may bring that out. It's the desperate situation, but also does he look at that and say, "Man, I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers go there and get the rings that I believe I could get if I were there."
Yeah. I mean, someone will. As long as he gets this sorted out, and honestly, even if he doesn't, someone in the NFL will take a chance on him.
Yep.
But a lot of teams are going to be looking around and saying, you going to do it?
Right.
You going to do it?
Right.
And
honestly,
finally, someone will flinch and he'll play again.
And the PR department's saying, please don't let it be us.
Yes.
Please don't let it be
They're
us.
crossing their fingers. But all right, I think that wraps it up for us on the live side of things. This was a fun discussion. The thing I want to finish with is just congratulations to Nikola Jokic. I say this with confidence. Over this season and in his career, he's become my favorite Denver athlete of all time.
Wow. Of all time. How about that? And
And he didn't even go to CU.
He did not. No,
Yeah.
he didn't. If we ever get an MVP from CU, I think they'll have that. They'll have that position locked up. But it's the combination of his love for the city. How many different times now has he said that he wants to follow in Tim Duncan's footsteps and play every game of his career in Denver? It's his total self-awareness and accepting of who he is, and there's absolutely no ability or no attempt on his part to be someone that he's not.
I love the dry sense of humor that he has as well, and he does that in the press conferences as well. It's just his normal interactions. That's who he is.
How unique he is as an athlete. It's how much people outside the city don't appreciate him, which makes me want to appreciate him even more.
Don't even know him.
Maybe 91 votes out of 101 is evidence that there is some appreciation.
There is, but I'm talking about just casuals.
Okay.
They don't appreciate.
Who cares
him.
about casuals?
Me. and finally, it's just how special he is on the court. But I just feel like he is the perfect Denver athlete, and he's taking that top spot for me.
Wow. That's incredible. And he's got a big game tonight, and it's going to be a blast down here at the bar.
Are you putting him on the Denver Mount Rushmore yet?
That's a topic for another day.
Another podcast. We could get into that as well, because the other guys on the Mount Rushmore, I mean,
we just talked about
they have
They
championships.
got the rings.
They have
The
championships.
rings matter on
and that's
that
why
one.
I said it's a conversation for another day. But for now, we're going to go hit up a Broncos press conference here. So thanks you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Make sure you tune in. Going to be a great one.